Okay. This is the thing, you guys. No makeup. Was not planned, but we're just going live. I'm so sorry. It's one of my headache days. But we're going to go down pretty soon, so you're not going to have to see this mug. We were playing on Facebook yesterday, and I got quite a few projects done. So let me just go right down, because this is just a scary face right now. And if we can bring this down. Okay. So this was a fun little project, okay? This was a live that we did. I mean, not a live, a quick little video that I did, because I did it late last night, and it was fun and easy to do. But now that it's dried, you can see we have some cracks. Even though whenever I'm working with the clay, okay, I do try to push everything together, but something this large, and if you saw the quick little video, you know, pulling it off of this little mat and everything, and the gluing and the folding and everything, it stresses out the clay. So I did get some cracks. So we're gonna work on how to deal with that. Easy to fix. I went ahead and decoupaged this piece. I was thinking it would be a little whale sign, but you know what? This is gonna be a fun little Easter sign instead. I got a little something sticking out here. We'll have to sand that, but that's okay. It did have holes, so maybe it's just from the drill or something. I got a little piece of glue here or something, but you know, we're working with scraps, and this was a scrap. Again, I have to get to the face on this. I did start to put a face on it, and I just wasn't feeling the big fat cheeks. I want it to be cuter rather than cartoony, so we're gonna start over on that. Probably not live, because I gotta get into my little moment whenever I'm doing that. This I did coat with silk, even though it's a bare wood cross. Okay, so this one I got ready to. We had a big chunk of the layer that just sort of cracked off, and I used the Dixie Belle mud to do a fix after I glued and clamped the other layers. It was just like a book binder, just pages loose. So I took glue, the wood glue, and I took, where's my little tool? Let me make sure we have, okay, I have microphone on YouTube, and Instagram doesn't allow, oh, here's my little tool. So I took the glue and I put it on the edge, and then I took this and I slid it down as much as it would allow me to do it. This is just a little palette knife. Whatever you have handy would work. And I'm going to decoupage this side, so I'm not too concerned. I left the good side, and we already have some paint on there. But all I need to do now that this is good and dry is give it a sand. It might not be perfect, but if it's bad enough, we'll just do another quick layer. So that's another thing we're going to do today. This, I think we're ready to glaze the little roses. On Facebook, this was a butterfly, and I changed my mind. So this was going to be a butterfly, and I just decided to mirror the roses. There was just too much going on the little lamb. And this is just a cutout from the cover of the packaging on a paint inlay from Iron Orchid Designs, the rose chintz, because I don't like to waste anything. So I just made I put it over the cover, right? Let me show you what I'm talking about. Of course, they're stuck together. Hold on. So see, and I just outlined it and cut it out and used Mod Podge to glue it down. All right, so we can do a little something over that. I thought it would be fun to do the, again, I'm going to use an Iron Orchid Design product on this. This little lamb is from Carmen's Curious Farms Market, or Carmen's Curiosities. It's on Facebook as Carmen's Curiosity Market, I think, and then here on YouTube it's Curious Farms Market. Fun piece of the decoupage paper. It's also what I use on here, okay? There's a bunch of different little ephemeras and little spring, Easter, sort of vintage designs on there. So those are the things I was planning on working on for this live, and let's get started. So let's just see where we're at with this. So for this, I'm just going to take, now that it's nice and dry, it dried overnight. You know, it's like 100 grit or 120 grit sandpaper, and I'm just going to try and smooth this out. I don't want to take a ton of extra time because this isn't a piece that, you know, someone's going to look to spend a lot of money on, okay? When you're doing these pieces for whether it's your church craft show, or you're more professional and you have a booth, or you do craft fairs or whatever, you got to keep in mind time, and whether it's the time that you're going to get money back for it. So I don't want to spend a ton of time on that now because we've spent more time on it than I would have liked. Okay. This, I am going to probably ask for a little more money because this is all clay. But they're going to be pretty much grab and go items. That's the idea anyways, because they're just Dollar Tree little blanks, okay? So that worked out really nice. I'm going to give it, I have paper towels somewhere. I had it up here, but now I cannot find it. Oh, it's right here in front of my face. Okay. Dampen this. And I don't want to get that mud real wet because it's going to water reactivate. So there, I just want to get the dust off really. Let's get it off the other. Because if you have any dust or any oils or polishes on your piece, I don't care what the piece is, the paint is not going to want to stick to that, okay? And so now let's give this a base coat as well. Because I think I'm going to decoupage this. And I was thinking this side I might do, let's give this side a sanding too. Because I think I want to do transfers on this side. Probably leftover transfers. And I didn't pull any out yet, so you're going to have to bear with me. I'll have to go over to the side and go through my little box of opened transfers and things. But there. Whenever you're working, especially with the raw wood, sanding after the first coat is a good idea. Whenever you're working with the chalk style paint, even the clay-based paints, if you can give it a little sand after it's dried, the feel on it is like night and day. Okay? You're going to notice a big difference on the feel. Okay. When you're putting water on open wood, it just really opens up the grains a lot. Okay. So let's see what we're going to do. What happened to the other cross? So, and we have this cross. We're going to put a base coat on this and let this dry. I'm going to go ahead and use the silk. And why am I doing that? Well, silk has, it's by Dixie Belle, silk mineral all-in-one paint. This has a built-in primer and a built-in top coat. But the nice thing is it dries very, very matte. I don't know if you can tell, but it's a very, very, very matte finish. And I do, even though early on they were saying absolutely no water when you're working with the silk mineral paint, and they also suggest using just the synthetic bristle brushes, which any water-based paint, I'm going to tell you to use synthetic bristle brushes anyways, unless you're really looking for texture. I do wet the brush a decent amount, and since it's just a little part here, I'm not going to put it in a separate container. Otherwise, for a big project, you really should put your paint in like another little Tupperware or something so that you're not contaminating your paint. But I'm just going to pull from the lid I don't think we're going to get any. We just wipe this down, so there shouldn't be any dust going back into the jar. But, you know, don't be like me. Do as I say, not as I do, for the best outcome. You know, you'll get to know where you can do your cheats if you're new to painting. And if you're not new to painting, you know where this girl's going with this. Like, I spent more time on this than I should have already, right? Okay. Let's get some paint on there. The one thing with silk is it does work more like a latex. So if I start brushing across like this and I let it sit a hot minute, chances are you're going to see the brush strokes going across. So work fast, but look at that nice coverage you're getting, okay? And it has the built-in top coat. So this is a piece that I won't need to seal after. I always suggest 2 coats, but if I'm doing something over this, which I think I am, because you know that you can see where my fix is, and I'm not going to go back and revisit. That's not worth it to me. We're going to be putting something over this. I just need a light background to start, and I want it to kind of seal. This is going to have a bonding primer. So if you're in the new products, it's like putting down the bonding boss. If you still have the old product, like the Slick Stick and regular Boss, this would be like Boss, okay? But it's built into the paint. It's actual paint. All right, so we have color on that side. I'm going to go ahead. I have a damp rag here. We're going to go ahead and just wipe these edges because that's a different color. Making a mess. This is drop cloth on the other side. I don't think these are going to bleed, so it's probably in this particular project, you know, this really, whatever this wood is that, you know, these, the Wayfair, the IKEA, the this, the that's, whatever that wood is, it doesn't tend to have a lot of knots and tannins in it that I can tell. So I on something like this, little quickie projects, I tend to bend the rules a little bit. If it was an official project, something more substantial and more costly, I suggest that you go ahead on bare wood and give it a blocking primer. Okay, because it is, like I said, bare wood. I shouldn't set it down on there because I haven't cleaned this little mat since last night. So let's see. Let me shake this off into the garbage. If you're watching on replay and you get questions, don't be afraid to ask. I do frequently check back with my videos. Okay. All right, so it ain't pretty, but at least it doesn't have dust on it. All right. So what was I going to do with this one? Well, I was thinking probably some decorative molds on one side and maybe some transfer on the other side. That's what I'm thinking. All right. So for the molds, we'll go ahead and talk about the molds, and then we'll talk about how to fix them with the cross, okay? I'm going to put some paints aside here because, you know, I get going and I don't like to stop and everything just stays out. And, you know, my worktops are usually a hot mess. So, but what's nice is I have a lot of this stuff handy now. It's all close to me. I hope if you're watching, even on replay, you're doing something fun. So again, these are molds that I'll be working with are from Iron Orchid Design. But you know, you can get your molds from anywhere. I just happen to have them because I used to be a retailer for them, and I did a lot of videos for them monthly. So I have a lot of their products, and I really do like them. So let's see. I'm thinking we put one of these little label molds across the center here, maybe? I don't know if this one will fit. I want something a little fancy. Yeah, fancy schmancy. But I want to be able to put some sort of wording, even if I have to print it out and decoupage it on with my copy paper. If I have to, I guess you could hand paint it. You could do a Cricut, little tiny lettering. But I want something more decorative. I think I'm feeling this one. This gives me more room. But this gives me room to put something on the ends. So let's do this one. Now, where's my clay? So whenever I'm working with clay, keep it double bagged. And this could be paper clay. Again, I did a lot with Iron Orchid Design, so I have, when I closed my store, I did hold on to quite a bit of the product for myself. So I have the Iron Orchid Design air dry clay. And you want to have a little cornstarch. And for the cornstarch, you want a little soft moppy brush to kind of dust in there. Now, if there's a lot of real fine details, you want to hit that with a little more cornstarch, but typically like that is enough. All right. I can't believe I didn't put my makeup on. It just didn't happen, you guys. Let's see how we like this. And I can always change my mind. So I dust with cornstarch. They suggest you could also use arrowroot powder. Some people have used baby powder. Don't use flour though, okay? That was passed on by Iron Orchid. Don't use flour. So that kind of broke off. Don't forget, these are also remnants from my project last night, so they could be a little bit drier than the rest of the package. So again, we're just going to really smush that where it kind of came apart so we don't get a seam. And maybe get a better putty knife. And we can kind of work off to the sides. So the nice thing about the Iron Orchid molds is that they have these micro rims. So it's cutting off the back instead of just kind of smearing it over the side. You just want to make sure that you have a nice even back because we're gluing it on a flat surface. You don't want it to, you know, not make contact with that surface. There we go. So where I really smushed it in and fixed it, it kind of stuck. But if we just sort of meld it with some water there, that should go away. And then always put your excess in your bag while you're not working with it, because you know what, it is, it dries really well. Any of the air dry products dry with the air, right? So let's get our little, because this could get distorted really easy, really quick. So maybe put a little rose on either end. And I really like the roses in Juliet, which is actually like a bunch of lattice roses, but I think it has the best roses. And we don't need a big one. Let's see. I think I'm going to use this right here. We don't have to worry about, we're going to cut off what we don't need. Otherwise, there's other, you know, there's other flower molds, okay? We could use, this happens to be roses, I think, or no, this is heirloom rose. Roses is larger. And again, we'll get our cornstarch. That's kind of too much. That's okay. Get our clay and just keep working it. Now I have a damp paper towel in here, but it's kind of important when you do that to not have it touch the clay, because then your clay will be this soupy mess. Soupy mess. So I'm hoping my husband doesn't call because I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. So Instagram, if it goes dead a second, just be patient so I can ignore the call when my husband calls, because he always calls, and that's why I have to be usually pretty darn good about hitting the Do Not Disturb on the phone before going live. But obviously, based on my makeup skills today, that didn't happen. And again, I'm just kind of just melding everything together. Some people claim they have a lot of luck with less cracking when they kind of wet the back. See, and you turn it upside down, that gravity just helps pop it right out of the mold. And see where that stem was coming out? I'm just taking the putty knife. Anything you have that's got pointy edge on it will work. And then this little stem here. Get rid of this little whatever there. I think that looks pretty good. I'm holding my breath. Don't ask me why. A lot of times when I'm working, I hold my breath. Oh, actually, we don't even need these little buds, but we might save these because I want to put some of the new trellising leaves on here, and I might fit these little buds into that. Or we could actually work them up into, oh, I like that. Okay. We'll just have it come up like so. Okay. See, we're just going to make it our own. See how pretty that is? It's kind of upside down, but you get the idea, right? And again, a little dusting of the cornstarch or arrowroot powder, and get into this bud. And we're just going to use the part of the mold that I like. We don't have to do the whole thing. I'm too lazy to go cut into some more clay, so I'm just trying to use my clippings, and we're going to fill the back. It's not going to matter because the front is should be solid. It's just that the back I want some fill so it has a nice even back. when we go to glue it, right? Okay. And again, I like to just kind of meld that together, especially when we've been kind of farting around with it. That's a technical term. And we pop it out. I mean, it's so easy. I do really like working with the molds. But like on the other side, we're going to take that little bud part and cut it out. Clean up the parts we don't like. And put this on the other side. And then maybe this bud. Oh, you know what? We didn't get the other one did have the bigger bud in it. I know this makes no sense to you, but I forgot to get the big bud into the other one. So we are going to have to dig in and get some more clay, just a pinch more. More than a pinch. And I'm going to get rid of the excess. Okay. More. We need more. Really push that together and put it back into the mold. Let's really push it in there since we kept adding to it. It's got a few seams in that tiny amount of space, so. Okay. Kind of mush that together. And let's see. There we go. That's better. So now this, maybe we, go like that. So kind of the two corners, right? And then I'll add, I'm thinking I'm going to add some of these leaves coming down and up. We can add maybe a rose over of it, but that's going to be the idea of what we're doing there, okay? But before we glue this down, I really should. So this has silk on it, and it doesn't have a top coat, but we're going to go ahead and try to do our transfer really quick. So let me just, I got to move something out of the way. And let's get over to some of our scraps. So I have some really small scraps. We never get rid of scraps whenever you're working with transfers. I mean, literally, like the tips of leaves, okay? Because you never know when you just need to fix a little something. Maybe a little piece stuck to the other pieces and you broke off a small portion of your design. It happens all the time. So we have some graphic and we have some leaves. Not feeling that, but we could use it for fill. That could happen. This could be a nice little fill, okay? All right, so I'm not feeling anything out of there. So let's see what we have in some larger scraps. Let's see, I have these small ones. We have paint inlay would have been a nice choice. Oh, I'm thinking we're going to use this retired decoupage paper for our decoupage on that other cross. You never know what you find when you go digging for, let's see, maybe brocante. So again, I have a lot of the IOD. I will be starting to stock more of the Dixie Belle because we're going to start carrying more of that. These are more, they're small, but they're kind of fall colors. Here's some other small scraps. So let's see what we have so far. And I'm making Bucky Beeves' face. Okay, let's see. More scraps. So the problem with some of these scraps is they've been around so much that they're going to be a little dirty. And when you get some dirt built up on the backing, then it doesn't mean they're going to stick well. So I'm not feeling these orange and red colors on these scraps. So let's see. We have, this is the new one from IOD. So let's try, and again, just like the Dixie Belle transfers, IOD does supply the tool. And maybe the yellow. What other scraps did we have? That could work. And we have some ephemeral here, so let's do that. Ephemera there. And a little bit of these daisies. Whenever you're working with transfers, always keep the white backing with it. And there go the dogs. I left the TV on for entertainment for them, but whenever an animal comes on the TV, Bobo kind of loses it. All right, and then Tango goes ahead and barks along because he doesn't know what he's barking at, but it sure is exciting, isn't it? You know. Hello, everybody. Hello. Don't be shy. Say hello. So we could do a little bit of that. And we can layer the transfers, but you want to make sure, you know, we have a nice clean surface. So we did sand that, so you want to make sure we get all that off. This has been really well dried, and it is sealed. It's got silk on it. Now, I would prefer to put I'm going to go ahead and cut this along this line. Okay. I would prefer to put a coat of satin on here, but it didn't happen. I didn't feel well this morning, and I'm still not there, but you know. If I'm waiting to feel better, you guys, it just ain't going to happen. So you do an initial rub. Now, depending on, even within the brand, okay, depending on your transfer, you might find if you can get a little, see how that's happening, the little bit of a air bubble happen. And since there is an adhesive back on here, it wants to let go and stick to your surface, but it still is kind of attached to the backing. So you're kind of giving it a little resist to help encourage it to come off of the backing. Another way to do it is to kind of lift up, rub some more, okay, lift up, and as long as you're making sure that the transfer doesn't move, like you're holding it down, even with that air bubble on a large scale, your transfer can start kind of moving, and you don't want that. Okay? So you just always kind of hold your transfer in place. And again, if you get a part that something happened and it didn't stick, and you have a hole or whatever, fill it. You can also try and match a paint color and kind of fill it in that way. When you have a lot going on, that typically, and see what I did? We just took that and waste not, want not. Then you want to take a piece of either that white backing, the slicker part, or the backing that it comes off of, and just give it a nice little rub. Make sure, because remember that air bubble? Kind of pulled it off of the backing. And then we had some more of the ephemera, so let's see where we can put this. So maybe we do this just to kind of bring it down a little bit more here. Doesn't have to be perfect. Let's see where this is going to go. So maybe down in here. We'll do this down here actually. And once we know where it's going, we can remove that backing. And gotta love silk. One less step to worry about. And people often ask whenever you're using transfers, no matter the brand, whether you should seal it or not. I don't care the brand, but you will find that it sticks to glass really, 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 really well. It loves glass. So the closer you can get to that kind of a sealed surface, you know you're going to have the most luck, okay, the most success with it. Other than that, again, clean, dry, well-sealed surface. And also keeping, you know, the back sides of these clean. So this is just going to be background, this ephemera, okay? And as long as you're not moving, if you see a part that hasn't stuck, don't worry about it because it's not moving. You're going to set it right back down. Otherwise, just try and match it back down and glue it into place, and you'll be all set. Okay? And I don't know, let's just put these leftovers where we think, okay, because I don't want to waste it. Okay, a little bit there, maybe a little bit here. Doesn't mean that they're gonna show, but why not? Let's just put them down. And again, burnish them down. Make sure they've got good contact. And this one. Oh, you know what we're gonna do though? We're gonna cut, look, it has daisy, so we're gonna put that so it reads right side up somewhere.